All right, so this video is for the wives out there. We're going to talk about why you're married to a good man, yet you still feel so alone. I'm a man, and I want to talk to you about your husband. Not to defend him, not to take a side, but because I know things about what he's experiencing that he probably can't tell you himself. And I think you need to hear them because I was him. Right? I was the man on the couch who thought everything was fine. The man who loved his wife and had no idea that she was sitting 6 inches away from him, feeling completely alone. And if that just hit something in your chest, right, stay with me because this video is for you. I'm Eric McDougall. I'm a certified master relationship coach trained by Terry Real. I'm co-host of the Evolved Marriage podcast with my wife, Kate. And I work with couples who still love each other, but feel completely stuck on how to bring the spark back, the passion back, the excitement back to the relationship. And I also spent years being the husband who didn't know what he wasn't giving to his wife. So when I tell you that I understand what's happening in your marriage, I mean that from both sides of it. So let's get into it. So I think the first thing is to tell you something about your husband that he can't tell you himself. He's not lazy. He's not selfish. He's not trying to hurt you. I think you know this, right? Probably some of you think your husband's a little bit aloof. And I know that might be hard to hear right now because from where you're standing, it can almost seems like he's intentionally not giving you the love that you want, right? The way he checks out, the way he goes quiet, the way he's physically present, but somehow completely gone, even though you've told him a million times. But here's what I know because I lived it. He does not know he's doing it. He's doing exactly what he was taught to do, right? To provide, to handle things, to show up, to check the boxes when there's a problem. And in his mind, every single one of those things is love, right? That's what love looked like where he came from. Nobody sat him down and said, love is also a feeling that you can influence in somebody. It's not just a task to complete. So he works, he fixes things, he manages the logistics of your life together. And he genuinely believes he's being a good husband. And he has no idea how much you are starving for his attention and connection. So I want to describe a moment here, right? Tell me if this sounds familiar to you. Random Tuesday night, nothing dramatic, there's no fight, there's no big moment, right? Dinner happened, kids got to bed, and now you're both on the couch. He's on his phone, you're on yours, something maybe is on the TV that neither of you is really watching. Tuesday night in my own home. And you look over at him and he seems completely content, right? You think about saying something, maybe about the thing that's been sitting in your chest all week, but you already know how it's going to go, right? He's going to get that look, or he's going to try to solve it right away, or somehow it becomes a fight. You end up feeling even worse than if you didn't say anything at all. So you don't say anything. You hope it just passes. And you just sit there next to him, 6 inches away, feeling completely alone. I know that scene because, like I mentioned, I was the man in it. I was the one who looked content. What I didn't know was that Kate, my wife, had been having that same experience for years. She'd look over at me and I'd be completely checked out. Not angry, not absent on purpose, just gone. Parked somewhere on the surface where nothing could really reach me. And I thought I was present. I thought I was showing up physically, right? I thought I was being a good man. I thought because I wasn't picking fights, because I was holding the house together, because I said I love you and gave my wife a kiss goodbye every morning, because we went to sleep in the same bed, I thought that meant that she knew that I loved her and our marriage was good. But she didn't. She felt completely alone right next to me, and I had no idea. That's not okay. But here's why it matters that you understand it, because it changes everything about how you move forward. What your husband is doing has a name, right? It's called emotional unavailability by default. It's not by choice. It's not by design. He didn't just decide to shut you out. He just never learned how to let you in. At some point, usually pretty early in our lives, shutting down emotionally was a safer option for a lot of men, right? Maybe feelings weren't welcome where he grew up. Maybe he learned that men don't go there. Maybe something happened that made the surface feel way safer than some of those depths. And for a long time, it worked. It got him through things. Problem is, he brought it straight into your marriage without realizing it. So now you have a man who can say, I love you, who would do anything for you practically, who functions completely fine on the outside, but who genuinely cannot access what you need from him emotionally. He doesn't know what he's not giving you because he doesn't know what he's missing in himself. And I know this because, like I mentioned, I was that guy years ago. And I know what it took to become somebody different. And here's the part I'm not sure that you're going to want to hear, honestly, because it's about you, not him. And if you came here hoping someone would tell you this is entirely his problem to fix, what I'm going to say is going to be pretty uncomfortable. But it's also the most important thing I'm going to say. So stay with me here. Here's what usually happens when a woman is living inside this type of disconnection. She reaches, she tries to talk, she tries to connect. You've probably tried all of that. And when he doesn't meet you there, she reaches harder. She gets more emotional. She pushes. And what does he do? He pulls back even more. Not because he doesn't care, but because his nervous system reads her emotions as a threat. And everything in him says, get small, go quiet, walk away. This is the only move he knows in the face of a threat. And the more you reach, the more he retreats. The more he retreats, the more alone you tend to feel. And the more alone you feel, the more desperate the reaching can become. Until finally, the reaching stops altogether. I saw Kate do this for years. And, actually what it looked like in our house. Because I think you need to see it clearly. Kate's not a really dramatic person, right? She doesn't make things bigger than they are. She doesn't make, mountains out of molehills. But there was a season in our marriage where she was tracking everything. She was hypervigilant. She was tracking my mood when I walked in the door, whether it was a good time to bring something up or not, whether I seemed open or closed that night. She was running constant calculations in the background. Can I reach him today? Or do I just stay quiet and manage it? She was carrying the entire emotional weight of our marriage alone, while also being a mother to two young kids, while building a life alongside me. And I didn't see it. I was too far inside my own checked out version of everything was fine. And what it cost her was years of quiet resentment she didn't even want to feel. She's not a resentful person, but when you carry something alone for long enough, resentment's no longer a choice. It's just what happens. What it cost me was a wife who had slowly, quietly started to stop reaching. And I didn't notice until the distance between us was significant. By the time I woke up to what was happening, Kate had been grieving our marriage for a long time already. And I'd been right there the whole time. And that is one of the most painful things I've ever had to face about myself. Right? Here's the one thing most women do that makes this much harder. And I say this with full understanding of why this happens and why you might be one of the women who are doing this. They make relationships their full-time job. They constantly track his mood, managing his emotions, adjusting everything based on what they think he can handle that day, carrying the weight alone, and then wondering why they're exhausted and resentful. I totally understand why. When he's not showing up emotionally, someone has to hold it together. So you do. You always do. But here's what that costs you, right? I'll say it plainly because I wish somebody had said it to Kate years before she heard it. You cannot want his growth more than he wants it. Nobody can do that for someone else. And the managing, the tracking, the constant adjusting, it doesn't speed things up. It actually slows them down and prevents his actual growth. Because the more you hold it together, the less he ever has to. What you can control is how you reach. Right now, most of the reaching is coming from a place of depletion, right? You're not asking from a full place. You're demanding from an empty one. You're probably burnt out and exhausted. And it comes out of frustration or criticism. Or maybe you're even just at a point where you've shut down completely. Not because you're doing something wrong, because you have been running on empty for way too long. What actually got through my defenses and what I watch land, right, in couples that I coach when I'm working with them together is not the tone, the volume. It's not more attempts. I remember the night something shifted for me. It wasn't because Kate finally found the right argument, not because we had a blow up, right, that cleared the air. It was actually pretty quiet. I remember we were in the kitchen, and instead of coming at me with everything she'd been carrying, I call it guns hot, which she had been, no one has every right to do, really. She just stopped. She looked at me and she said something from a place I hadn't heard from her in a long time, like maybe ever. She wasn't attacking. She wasn't listing everything that was wrong. She was just clear and steady in an honest way that I couldn't deflect or drag into a fight about her tone or how she delivered it. Something cracked open, right? Something that had been shut down for a really long time within me. I don't even remember her exact words because, your marriage needs your words, right? Not ours, but I can tell you exactly what she did and why it worked when years of other attempts hadn't. She stopped coming loud and started coming clear. What she did is what I call grounded clarity. It's when you stop carrying 10 years of accumulated pain into a room and say one true thing from a steady place instead. Not a list, not a lecture, just this is what's missing and this is what I need. Without an apology and without an attack. That lands somewhere that your husband's defenses aren't just standing guard. He can't turn that into a conversation about your tone. He can't make that about how you're bringing it up or, how you're always complaining and how you're always criticizing him. Now, I know because I felt it go there. And it's a learnable skill. And it's the first thing we build inside the Evolved Marriage Intensive that I run with my couples. Because without it, every conversation just becomes a version of the same fight. So let me tell you what it actually looks like when this starts to shift in a marriage, because I really want you to believe it's possible before any of this means anything, right? So that you can do this in your own relationship. It starts with one moment, not a blow up, not an ultimatum, right? This is just her saying one thing from a steady place. You can say something like, when I try to tell you how I'm feeling and you go quiet, I don't feel safe reaching for you anymore. And in those moments, I get scared and I miss you. Something opens there, not completely, right? Not permanently, but a door that was shut is suddenly cracked open. And from there, it's training. He learns to stay present when things get emotional instead of going somewhere that you can't follow, right? You learn to reach from a place of strength and clarity instead of depletion. And both of you need to learn to catch that pattern when you're in it instead of getting swallowed up by it again. And the couples who do this type of work, they don't just stop fighting. They find each other again. They remember why they chose each other. They build something that feels alive, not just functional. And they probably experience each other again for the first time. And that's what's on the other side of a lot of this work. And I know it's real because I'm living it in my own marriage. You can hear a lot of what we talk about on the Evolved Marriage podcast. And if you want to know where to start, there's a free connection blueprint you can grab. It's totally free. It's in our description below. It walks you through the specific dynamics driving the disconnection in your relationship and gives you a clear direction. This is not just information. These are tools that you can use to create more momentum in your relationship, right? You need to learn how to be heard without it turning into a fight. And that's what this blueprint is built around. So you can grab that link in the description. It's totally free. It's my gift to you. Get it right now while you're thinking about it. Every couple that I have watched come back from where you are right now, the ones who went from two people just surviving, right, to actually wanting to be with each other again, they don't look back and say, my marriage fixed itself. They look back and say, one of us decided. One person got clear about what they needed, stopped waiting for the other one to go first, and took one real step. Not a perfect step, not a heroic step, just one real step. And then something in the other person often wakes up, and they took that step too. That's the whole beginning of the story every time. The first step is available to you right now. And before you go, there's a full episode where Kate and I go into the flip side of everything I just covered, right? Which is the other side of this illusion of control in your marriage, and why the harder you grip, the worse things tend to get. And what it actually felt like for both of us to let go of something that we've been white knuckling for years, right? Kate goes somewhere pretty real in this one. And if you want to watch it, you can just click the link on your screen here so you can go to that episode. Cheers. See you in the next one.